to where my bombs are at. Come on, Jake.
Waiting.
What did you hit me with?
Yeah, got the guess on that one.
No, I almost got you.
Shockwave!
Who can play that game?
Final Fury.
Good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are live. Final Fury. It's your boy Super M back at it once again with Ringside VR, the place to be for everything virtual combat and fighting games. And joined with me to my left is Aben, creative director of the latest virtual fighting game, Final Fury, and of course, the community manager, the ever wonderful Squire. Guys, how are you feeling today?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah, we're talking over each other. It's a good start. Yeah, I'm feeling great, man. It's the day after launch day, so you've had the crazy bit, and now you're settling into like the sweet sauce. Like the cool stuff is starting to happen. Nothing's on fire, or the fires have been dimmed a little bit, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Awesome. Well, virtual fight fans, I'm gonna let you guys know what we got going on today. So Final Fury is a virtual reality fighting game that just hit the shelves, and today we're gonna give you the download on everything that you need to know to get started. So going through the day today, we're gonna be learning about the game itself, a little bit about what it took to get there, learn about the development team. We're gonna get into some core mechanic breakdowns, some character breakdowns, and then we have a special exhibition match between yours truly and the community manager Squire. So can a VR fighting game junkie take on the dev team? We're gonna find out later on. But let me remind everybody right now that the game is out on Steam VR and Quest. So if you got a VR headset, definitely get in on the action. Keep it locked in with the chat. The lovely moderation team will be dropping links to both of those stores. And as well, we want everyone to join the Discord here, join the Final Fury family. The game is out on early access, but the development team wants your voice and your opinions to help push the game to where it needs to be. And as a special surprise, we have a Gleam giveaway for those in the chat, giving away about 15 ridiculously priced codes, 99% off. Can you believe it? It's dang near free, and like I always say, if it's free, it's me. So let's get on with the programming today. Aben, Squire, I gotta ask you guys, right? What is Final Fury? Let the people know.
It's a technical fighting game that for VR, pretty much. We've tried to make it as close as possible as arcade fighting games. It took us a lot of iteration, but I think we get to a good spot that we are pretty happy with the results.
I'm excited, bro. I'm a fighting game fan, and so like fighting games are a unique kind of game, right? They're very hard to develop into their own unique body, right? And so we know, if you guys know fighting games, you know Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, this is one of those traditional 2D fighting games and a take on that, but it's in a virtual reality space. So since it's in a VR space, right? How what are the core mechanics? What makes this a unique, true to fighting game here in VR?
I think personally, and compared to boxing games in VR, where you can, you have even more freedom. We wanted to try to make it add that extra layer of technicality where you can, keep distance from your opponent, have your own space to perform your moves, have something that you don't see too much in boxing games is that you pick a character or you are a character and you don't know who you are for the, I mean, most of the time.
Right.
But in Final Fury, one of the things that we wanted to do is you get that connection with the character, especially when you see that your character in third perspective. So it's not like you are alone. So you feel like it's one, you're playing together, no?
Yeah.
So you get back to first view, and I mean, you control it, and then you do some things in third person that he can do or she can do as well. So keeping that connection, do you know, like, for example, there's a statistic that says that people usually that play fighting games, especially I remember Mortal Kombat, they play with the same character even if they change, you know, if Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you like Sub-Zero, you will play Sub-Zero for, I mean, that's your main character. So how we can bring that, you know, that connection to your character. So that's one of the things that we take in consideration as well.
Nice.
I just want to say I'm so guilty of that. Like, as soon as Aaron Black came on the scene, I was like, I'm an Aaron Black main forever. And then they changed him significantly, and I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. He's got all these gun cancels and stuff. And then I was like, I'm a loyalist. As of like 1 year ago, I'm a loyalist, and I'll stick with this now. Yeah. But yeah, I think compared to, you know, what Aben's saying, I think for me the thing that reeled me in was this idea of footsies. Like, I'm old school. I love Third Strike. I love that kind of whole footsie game. Of course, the game footsies as well, and stuff like ARMS. So you'll see it later, but the idea that our punches aren't punches, they're sort of projectiles. They vary from character to character. There's difference in dash distance, speed. There's all kinds of these variations that really let you narrow down on the archetype. For me, that gives you sort of depth, and it gives you character knowledge, and it gives you all these kind of things. So for me, that was kind of like a sweet middle ground. It's like, I'm, you know, a bit of a VR noob. I came on Kluge like a year ago, but the possibilities that it allows you to have, especially when it comes to immersion, like, we have this whole thing, right? You become the character. Yeah. You hear it on FGC stuff all the time, right? You talk about, you know, someone's piloting X character. In this, we want you to be the character yourself. So it's, you know, like Pacific Rim or any sort of mech or like Gundam thing. It's like you are inside the character in some weird kind of like Ratatouille. You're moving their arms around.
The controls.
So that's what we want. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Because now I don't have to blame my missed imports. I don't have to blame my skill level. I didn't hit that one flame link, like Aben's forward medium kick into whatever. Could never do it. But now it's on me. If I didn't hit it, it's my fault. And for me, that was really exciting.
That sounds really good. Look, you guys threw a lot of references and a lot of sauce out there in that last conversation. I was going to ask, like, what kind of fighting games inspired you when you guys were developing this game, right? So what were some of your inspirations?
You have a cocktail of different fighting games. First of all, I think Street Fighter, and Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, and Smash Bros. I think were they all of those were pretty key. I've used to play a lot Killer Instinct and Street Fighter with my brother when we were young, and even like when one of my partners at Kluge, we used to play a lot Killer Instinct as well when we were in high school. So I'm like with my brother, I remember that. I mean, like mimicking that fantasy of, you know, Hadouken, you know, like bringing all that stuff to VR was like was magic. You know, like how we can make this happen. It wasn't easy. We did a lot of iteration with haptics and, you know, different type of things, like, you know, following shapes or putting the hands in different places, touching from point A to point B, or kind of like bringing like buttons and arrows that you can touch as well, like an arcade machine or something. So at the end, I think what works for us was you know, A and B, like, you know, from up down, left, right, those type of things, and we keep exploring new stuff.
Yeah. No, you were hitting some good stuff there. I remember the early days, right, when this was just a rhythm fighting game, right? Coming back from Synth Riders, you guys developed Synth Riders, right? So it was a lot of inspiration from that in the early days, right? But you guys have come a long way since then, right? A lot of changes, like you said, there were a lot of ups and downs and iterations. So, you know, what were some of those big challenges, like, you know, coming from those early days of it being a rhythm fighter and to what it is right now?
I think it's basically like a complete overhaul, right? We moved from a fixed import system where you had to go dish, the move activates, to something that was far more personal, I guess. It's like you doing the move, right? And that's the fantasy we want to fulfill. Like you touched on it earlier, right? Everyone has their Dragon Ball, Ryu, like you're coming out.
I've thrown a couple of fireballs myself, bro. Like it's, you know, if you don't chuck some fireballs, I don't know if you're really a fan. You don't got it in you, man.
Exactly, man. And we wanted to do that. It's like, how do I feel like, you know, Zangief throwing people around? How do I feel like, you know, whatever example, Sub-Zero freezing someone? How do I feel like Scorpion, get over here? We wanted to give people that idea because it's the unique thing that VR has, right? It's one thing pressing, you know, back square, doing the Scorpion pull, but it's another thing to actually do it physically with your body. And I feel like that's the one thing, you know, VR has over these like traditional fighting games, whether you're using a controller, whether you're using a fight stick, whether you're a scumbag and using hitbox, doesn't matter. Like VR is the one, and I know I'm calling you out, but like that's the one thing we got, right? And we wanted to do that. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
I'm a scumbag. It is what it is.
Yeah, we wanted to do that, right? We wanted to give you this fantasy that you're the character and lean into that sort of, you know, unique selling point that VR has. You know, we have haptics, we have you're in the eye shot of the character, and I think that's where that transition came in. And I think it also comes down to balance as well, because, you know, we do have rollback netcode, we have all these things, but essentially if you're stuck in sort of like, now's your time to do a quick time event, there's only so much agency and skill expression you can have as a player.
Yeah.
So we wanted to get rid of that, and we wanted to make it more about you, as it were.
Now,
so I think,
I'm gonna be a little divisive here, right? Because I love me some fighting games, right? I gotta ask you guys, did you maintain the heart and soul of a fighting game? Because, you know, it's easy in the VR world to just make yet another boxing game, right? But we know fighting games have some core rock, paper, scissors mechanics, decision making, interactions that are true to the tradition. So that's been maintained, correct?
Yes, it is.
You heard it here, folks.
And we're gonna keep evolving. I think we want to add more powers and more tools that the players can do. So you have more. I mean, fighting game is about like pretty quick reactions. So you depending of the situation you are, you need to have the right tool for that.
Yeah.
So I personally feel that we still need a little bit more, but I think at the point we are right now, we're covering the basic, but there is a lot more to explore for sure.
Absolutely. And like, I'm gonna remind you guys out there, I'm gonna keep saying this, join the Discord. The game is out. This is just the beginning. This is the starting point right here. We need the community to bring it across the finish line and really give that feedback, right? So speaking of fighting games, right, you know, the fighting game community, fighting game culture, keeping the heart and soul of this, you guys managed to snag one of the rare Pokemons in the community, right? The Wazzler himself, Mr. Justin Wong. How in the world, right, did you all manage to snag Justin and have him help working with you? And how did that relationship come about? Because when you told me, I was scared. I was, you know what I'm saying, I was terrified of fighting the man. But, you know, how did y'all snag him, man? And what did that relationship look like?
It's pretty surreal, even now. Like, I just put a post out on LinkedIn going, like, my bucket list would be, as a lifelong fighting game fan, to work with Justin Wong. And it's like, it's still pretty weird that it happened. But if anyone's familiar with Witcher and the Law of Surprise,
Yeah.
I gave up my firstborn son for Justin Wong to work on this game. So it's not a huge sacrifice in the big scheme of things. I think it's worth it. But no, seriously, he was just like, he's someone that if we had, and as part of marketing, you like, who do you want to work with? Who's your dream person? And for me, he was just top of the list, right? Because he's the GOAT. He's, the greatest, arguably the greatest of all time. And I was just like, dream Justin Wong. So we just did a standard thing, right? We just reached out to him. Like, I kind of like to keep it a bit casual and go, this is the game we're making. I know VR is not your thing, but we really want to make like a arcade fighter game. And are you interested? And yeah, surprisingly he was. And then the rest is history. He's been on board for like over half a year now. So it's been a good long time. And I still remember the first sessions. I remember him, sorry Aben, but he bodied Aben the first match we had. And it was just like, yes, this is someone, who can bring such knowledge and such depth to this thing, what feels good, what's balanced, what's all this, but then also like, keep us in check. Because, we're making this game as someone who's fans of fighting games, but we've not necessarily made one. This is not Final Fury 10, right?
Right.
This is Final Fury 1. And we want to make the first legit VR fighting game, and what better person to have in your corner than the 9-time Evo champ, right?
Yep. No, I can't say anything better than that, bro. Well said. I mean, you guys had, even the Hongo Gamer, I got to shout out, Hongo Gamers work with y'all, and I was just like, whoa, okay, we got the FGC here. I thought it was just me. I'm little FGC, y'all, just for, I'm a one-time Evo medalist, I'll say that, but it was for cosplay, so it's not really real. Well, let's go ahead and get into a bit more of the gameplay. I know that's what everyone here is, they're here for, and I'll remind everyone again, jump into the Discord if you haven't already. Get the game or hit our Gleam giveaway to get that ridiculous 99% off code, right? And then jump in and give us some feedback. Get really active. People have already been giving us feedback already, so let's hop in on some of the basics of the game, starting off with what everyone knows with fighting games. The first thing, movement, right? So we got dashing and a special maneuvering movement in this game. So guys, explain to me, how does movement work in a VR fighting game as opposed to like a regular one, right?
Okay, it's technically, you still using the controllers, but we are trying to rely as much as possible to gestures overall. And we there are even like more room to add more stuff, as I was mentioned before. The general movement, you can use the joystick. We have aid and joystick for dashing. One of the reasons because we are adding a button for that is because you need like dash back and forth as well. That is not just walking. So you press the button and you can do whatever dashing, whatever direction you want. Then the gestures, it all depends on the character that you're playing. You have different type of stuff, like Baldan, you have sword, or you have the Hadouken, like the crystallize, or so we try to make it as depending of the archetype. We also make the move like be intentional, depending of, like, for example, the power that they are performing, like Gaia, throwing the rocks or something, the roots that comes to your opponent. So but you have to do it like from it's like a moving forward your hand, so that gives you that. If you see Gaia, she's a strong woman. So
yeah. I like that. I like that a lot, because it looks like dashing is key to avoiding a lot of these moves, right? But you also have to free up your hands for the gestures, right? So we can't be kind of locked in, but you got to stay mainly kind of snappy. So I like it, man. Looking at the dashing right now, it reminds me of a little bit of a Soul Calibur, early Soul Calibur, being able to dash in and out, left and right. good four-way movement, and it looks really snappy and fast too. So like after dashing, right, we're moving around, we're grooving, right? Of course, everybody wants to know, how can we throw hands? So the next basic maneuver is punching, right? Now we're getting into the gestures. So how does punching work in this game?
Yeah, so punching in our game, someone mentioned it on Discord, is quite unique. So it's not a point-blank punch. You don't have to physically connect with your hand to someone's face to punch them. So they are, as you can see on the screen, like short-range projectiles. The range and speed of these vary from character to character, and that's to reinforce their sort of archetype, what we want them to feel like. So some characters, longer, slow punches. Maybe they're a zoner character, maybe they're turtling, maybe they do that kind of thing. We'll see more of that later. And maybe they're more of a brawler or a grappler. So they go in, their punches are slower, short distance, but do more damage. So for us, it's a way to sort of realize a character's archetype and what they're supposed to be doing and reward you for doing that. But I think it's also a tactical choice. What we found earlier, especially in the alpha and closed beta, was people would just come up to you and go, like they do that. Yeah, exactly. They do that kind of thing. And it would be very hard to get out of. So we wanted punches to be, yes, they can be rushed down, but we also wanted them to be tactical. So what you'll find is they can interrupt channeled moves. And you'll see this when you're trying to do a grab, or if you're trying to do Arctic Blast, or you're doing anything like that. If you get hit by a punch, your gloves will turn red, because we're a big fan of feedback. It'll stop what you're doing. So there is a choice there, especially if you're a ranged character with longer punch range, like Glitch, which we'll see later, to sort of like mess with people, right? They want to throw a fireball at you, you're out of their range. So you're going to throw a quick jab, you're going to go back to block, and you're going to stop it. So that's the kind of depth and layers we want to add to punching. So yes, on the surface, it is just boom, 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 boom. But actually, if you go deeper, there's more options to express your skill.
Oh, absolutely. And I love the point that you made that, you can use punching intentionally. It's not meant to just spam. And I can tell you guys right now from playing this game, punches, they do variable damage between characters. Some characters have harder punches than others. Some characters have longer punches than others, right? So it's very intentional using them for offense or interrupts, so you can set up your turn. Very cool. Now, you mentioned people being spammers, right? So to stop all that spamming, we've got the next basic ability, which is blocking. Seeing those gloves light up. Guys, what's up with blocking? How good is it?
I think blocking, what we wanted to do was, like, there's a fine line between defense and being paralyzed. Like, we don't want people to, like, oh god, I don't know what to do, and I'm just going to stand here like this for the whole match. Right. So I think blocking has a limit, and we wanted to express that. So there are certain moves that do chip damage. You'll see your health whittle away eventually if you block too much. We don't have anything like a stun meter. Maybe we should. It's something like, we could express, like old school, like First Strike or whatever, Street Fighter 4, you get hit too much, eventually you're going to get those chickens, right? You're going to get stunned. So maybe we have that, maybe we don't, but we'll come on to that later. But I think for blocking, it's another way for us to, like, add a defensive option that's easily accessible. And it's also a way, again, for us to express character archetype. So if you find characters that are more defensive, like Diesel or Gaia, they have higher block rates, they have higher health, they have ways to express themselves in a defensive way to mirror their sort of what we want from their archetype. But eventually, we don't want you to be stuck in block forever. So we'll come on to it later, right? There's other mechanics that are intrinsically linked to block that aren't block, but we'll get into that later. But essentially, block is, if in doubt, put your arms up, right? A real fight, just put your hands up, it'll be fine.
Now this brings up with two good questions for me. So you said you don't want people to be locked down. No one likes to be locked down. It takes away the fun and the interaction, right? And you see it here in the clip a little bit, right? You're able to move while blocking. That's very important, because usually that's not a thing in fighting games. But of course, this is a unique VR fighting game with unique mechanics. So I'm just pointing it out for folks to know that you can move while blocking, to have an advancing block. And also chip damage, like how strong is it? Like how is it based on the offending character, or is it based off their like Gaia's defense, for example?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I think it's proportional to both. So characters, if you look at their stats, we'll get onto that later. They have like a defense or health value. That is one portion of sort of the multiplier that's applied, and then the other part is the incoming damage. So it's sort of like a combination of both these things. So you'll see characters like Valdan, who's one of our new characters in early access. Last Cannon, very high on the damage portion. So his kind of incoming damage, whether it's punches or Shadow Slash or Ancestral Flame, will be high. But then, you know, if you lose a match against Valdan, you might be like, oh, I want a more defensive character. So I'm going to go to Gaia or Diesel or someone who has more defense. So if I do this block thing, I can mitigate at least a portion of that and hit them back harder.
That's dope. Okay, so you mentioned earlier about additional mechanics based off of blocking, which brings us to our next thing: reversals. So you know, if you're being defensive and you getting blocked down, it looks like you have a little bit of option here. Can you guys tell me a little bit more about the reversal option?
Yep, sure. So I think this was a direct sort of consequence of early alpha tests.
Yeah.
So we basically found that people were basically doing punching, and you had no defensive capabilities. You were stuck there in block, and then you had nothing to do. So we were like, oh, what can we do that's like third strike parry, like a burst counter from like anime, like, you know, Grand Blue Zero or Guilty Gear? What can we add to this, something that, you know, is a get off me button? Because I feel like this game needs a bit of a get off me button. And for us, Reversal Shield is that, because it rewards you for blocking correctly, but it also is like a get away from me option. So what it is eventually you absorb a certain amount of hits. You'll see on the screen there, your gauntlets turn gold, and because of like the haptics and visuals in the game, it's very obvious when you've got it. If you then extend your arms outward, it basically emits a shockwave that not only interrupts any kind of action that's going on, also projectiles. So it's a big get off me button, and it's basically there to stop people spamming. And one thing that we changed into early access is that once you earn that charge, you retain it. So every time you block, you'll see your gauntlets are still gold. So you can sort of like go, all right, I'm going to weather the storm, and then after this, if my opponent keeps doing that, then I'm going to push forward and knock them away and give myself some space. Because before it wasn't that. It was like you had to use it or you lose it.
Yeah. And man, I cannot like give you guys enough hand claps for thinking about a burst mechanic, because I feel like not enough fighting games start off with some of these base tenets, and it gives a lot of back and forth in the match, right? Good, more decision making, more interaction. Now block seems to be pretty good to me. You know, you're able to move while blocking. You got the reversals. You know, depending on the character you are, you got chip damage. So if I'm turtling up, right, I think everyone wants to know, how do we beat it, right? I think somebody already mentioned it in the chat. Of course, you get a little hands-on with them. You know what I'm saying? A little grappling action. What's up with the grabs, guys?
The grabs are, I mean, every character has its own grab.
You got this? I don't know if Fabian's got this. If he hasn't, let me know.
Hey, you're up.
You got this, Fabian?
Can you hear me?
Yep. Well, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. The grabs, I think it was a pretty interesting move that we did, especially because it also add to this at the top of the fantasy you have with all the gestures. You see your character performing things, animations that you can do. So I think that combination is fantastic, because I remember like in fighting games have, you know, different type of, you know, moves that, you know, are kind of impossible that not many humans can do. So
Yep.
You want that in your fighting game as well. You know, your character do that crazy stuff. So that's what I'm thinking. When we bring the grabs and you see your character, you know, smashing the opponent, it feels fantastic. It feels a lot better than in first person. I think in first person you don't get the same, you know, hype when you see actually your character right in front of you you smashing your opponent.
I love it.
Did we have a version of this when it was just first person?
No, I don't. No, I don't remember. No, probably I need to ask the devs.
It's like it's really exciting though. For me, it's a cool like cinematic thing. Like one of my favorite things about Tekken 7 was the slow mo, and I feel like for us it's sort of this thing. Like you'll see in the clips that are playing, right? You avoid someone's grab by doing the dash, and then you counter with your own grab, and it's one of the most hype things in this game. If you can do it right, it feels so good.
Oh yeah, big brain
I
play.
agree.
Big brain play, and I'll add to this too. There are no throw breaks in the game, so for those who are familiar with traditional fighters, but to counter a grab, you have a moment, and I'll give you guys a little tip. Watch for the blue flame. When you see the blue flame, that is your cue to do one of two things: dodge or grab yourself. And what I love about the grab is you guys kept that that interactivity in VR, right? You literally have to reach your hands out and then scoop someone up, right? And so it feels real good. And you see when they grab there, they kind of clash and hit a backflip. So many advanced applications to grabs. I'm not going to get into that here, but that's basically a lot of the base kit that everyone has, right? So right now that we know the basics, right, let's get on to the characters specifically, right? Starting with the Ryu of the game, the all-rounder, right? Tempest. Squire, hit us up. Who is Tempest? And tell us what these stats here are for and how they kind of affect the gameplay.
Yeah, sure. So essentially, if you like Elsa from Frozen, and you like a sort of all-rounder, right? Yeah. I know Ryu's gone through like a metamorphosis in Street Fighter 6, where he's like now just like an absolute monster.
Of course.
But if you want someone who can do everything pretty well, I think Tempest is your gal. And you can see that from the stat distribution, right? A punch has, average range and average power. Same with the dash, same with the grab. But I think the one thing she has in her favor is she can do rushdown and zoning both pretty well. Her fireball is unique. The Arctic Blast has a hard knockdown. So whenever you hear that in a fighting game, you're like, oh, okay,
it's good.
Yeah, now we're in trouble. Because, yeah, exactly. Like you can enforce the mix. You can go, oh, I'm going to throw another one. I'm going to do a grab. I'm going to do a punch rush. Like she has loads and loads of options. And I think for me, one of the fantasies we have of Tempest is a bit like Colleen or Glacius from like Killer Instinct, for example.
Yeah.
This idea that you can eventually land hits and freeze someone. Which, I was a Colleen main in Street Fighter 5, but I like that idea. So we're not there yet, but it is an idea we're playing with.
Nice.
This idea that Tempest eventually runs Crystallize, runs Arctic Blast. Eventually it'll put your opponent in a free state where you can do whatever you want. So she is a little bit Sub-Zero, she's a little bit Ryu, but I think she's all around just sick, right? And we'll touch on this later as well, but we're playing with this idea of a Final Fury attack, like a character's ultimate.
Dope. Oh,
so,
okay, I was about to ask when those are going to drop. Okay, all right, so before we get too far into the moves, right, just for everyone at home so that they can know, so we have these 4 stats, and they're going to be for every character, right? Power, defense, mobility, and range. Now, I'm going to take a guess, correct me if I'm wrong. So power is going to be how much damage their normals and specials do, right? And it's, of course, chip damage, right? Defense is probably going to be tied to their health, but as well as how strong their guard is, right? So those are the 2 forces that you were talking about at odds ends when we're talking about how much chip damage someone takes, right? Mobility, right? So that's your standard movement, also maybe your dash speed, right? And then we have range. So range is interesting. So is range like attack range or movement range or both?
It's both.
Oh,
it's your dash range, it's your grab range, it's your punch range.
All right.
So high range. If you have high range, you're basically a zoner.
Okay, so now y'all know. Now y'all know what the stats are. We're gonna see them shake up. Let's get into the special moves, guys. So first, I had to do this special move first. The special move I think that started it all, right? For everyone, right? Your Hadouken, aka the Arctic Blast, So guys, run me through what this move is, right? And like how does it work in the game?
Okay, Ava's quiet. I'm gonna go. So yeah, it is that fantasy, right? It's the ultimate fantasy. It's the quintessential fireball. You know, it's not a 3D fighter thing, but it is a 2D fighter thing. Like, you can name 10 million characters who have one in a 2D fighter. So I think Tempest for us is that sort of benchmark. It's like, how can we, you know, evoke that fantasy of you're throwing a fireball? And for me, it's the core part of the kit, right? You know, it's the thing that, you know, defines Ryu. What has Ryu got over Ken? He's got a better fireball, at least in the old school games that we're inspired by. And for us, we want a Tempest to have a really strong fireball. Yeah. And I think the way that you define that is by not only sort of the active frames, how long it's out there, but what it gives you. And what it gives you as Tempest is a hard knockdown, which, you know, usually you have to throw an EX fireball to achieve that. Yeah. In our game, it's free. You just execute it and then it's good to go. So I think it's also a litmus test of, do the gestures feel good to execute? Mm-hmm. Does it feel good to throw a fireball? And I think, you know, I've not heard anyone contradict me, so it does feel good.
I know it feels good. This is the first thing I did when I played this game. I was chucking fireballs, and I will say that, you know, there's one character in a 3D game that I know has a fireball, and well, technically two, and we all love him and hate him. It's Akuma and now Geese from Tekken 7. Boy, was that plaguing. Oh my god, it was the worst thing in the world. And you know what, I respect it. You gave Tempest a hard knockdown because it's a 3D game, and as you can see in the clip, you're able to dodge it, you know, so you can't just get locked down in that 2D space. But man, does it feel good. And another little thing I want to point out to everyone, while you're charging it back, think, you know, Goku Kamehameha style, you can still dash forward and backwards, or you can skate, actually. That's that Colleen reference you were talking about. So you can mix it up. You can approach and mix up. It's a very terrifying move. And so we've got a good zoning move on her, right? So to balance that out, we got to give her, I guess, a defensive move. I would assume it's defensive, but Squire, what can we say about Crystallize?
Yeah, I think it's the counterpart, right? And one thing I want to add to Arctic Blast is that you can cancel all the moves into it. So you can cancel it into a block, you can cancel it into a dash, you can cancel it into Crystallize. So there is a baiting thing because your opponent can see if you're charging the fireball. Yeah. So you can mess people up with it a little bit.
I didn't know you could cancel. That's sturdy. Wow, I got it right.
I usually use Crystallize as if I'm like walking backwards and my opponent is trying to approach me, I do the Crystallize so that can help me keep some distance.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, that's one you use.
I like that. So for anyone coming new to the game and they're playing Tempest, this is the all-rounder that you guys were talking about. She has the ability to keep you at range. She has the ability to give herself some space and breathing room. Her punches look like they do a decent amount of damage, so she can pretty much play the mid-range comfortably in this game.
Yes.
Excellent. Any weaknesses for Tempest?
I think like anyone, like any all-rounder, she's a jack of all trades, master of none. So, you know, if your play style inherently is more leaning towards grapplers or close range heavy damage, she's not going to really fulfill that fantasy for you. In the same way, she's not a pure zoner. Yes, you can spam Arctic Blast, but essentially someone's going to come in eventually and it's like, okay, you need to change your game plan. So she's someone who, I'm not going to say she's boring because she's my favorite.
She's good.
But she's like someone who's like reliable. Let's say reliable.
Yeah.
Maybe not as exciting as some of the rest, but she's reliable.
Look, I will reference the Dai God himself, right? Man played Ryu, vanilla Ryu, just it seemed like the most basic characters, but I'll also add to that adage that you said, jack of all trades and master of none is oftentimes, jack of all trades and master of none is also oftentimes better than a master of one, is the end of that. So a lot of the times that variability to be able to play all of the field, high competitive. You got an answer for everything. And, you know, Daigo showed us the best. So let's move on to the next character, right? My personal favorite, right? Glitch, right? Look at these stats, bro. Like, look at that range. Zoner, zoner, zoner. Get away from me. Stay over there. Mind games, right? Weak on the power, but, you know, hey, we can't have everything, right? So tell me a bit more about Glitch, Glitch's play style and game plan.
It feels a bit like weird to tell you what Glitch's gameplay
Hey, you're telling
is.
the folks. You're telling the folks.
Yeah, but you're the Glitch
You
master,
should
man.
tell us. You should tell us.
All right. Let me go through and give my spiel on Glitch, right? So Glitch, of course, the trapper of the game, and the trapper is very adequate for Glitch's playstyle. Glitch has extreme range. Normals like Dhalsim. If you play Street Fighter, I'm all the way across the move. The game just throw. I feel like I'm playing ARMS, to be honest, guys, when I'm playing Glitch, right? I'm throwing punches from around, and Glitch's kit is meant to keep you locked down and keep your options. So if you have somebody who likes to move around, Glitch can keep you in a certain place. Glitch can use his abilities to protect himself. Glitch can set you up with a lot of tricky setups, and also just pester you from safety, right? And of course, the power is lower, right? My mobility is average, my defense is average, so you trade a little bit of that power for mobility. But getting into some of the reasons why, you guys are going to see here, the first special is Tac Bomb, right? So dropping mines, if you play Cyrax from MK, right, you know that kind of like mine setup ability early on in the game. I will say that I abused so much disgusting tech in the first tournament of this game. Because if you notice when he's throwing down the mines, they drop little smoke fields. That obscures your vision in VR. When you can't see, you don't know what I'm doing. So I could throw that on the ground, have you walk into it, and even if you can block it, I may throw a punch behind it, I may throw a grab, I may set up another bomb, right? And also for high mobility characters, I can cut off certain parts of the screen. So I may throw all my bombs to the left and force you to move to the right where I want you, right? So Glitch very good with the setup, but of course when you get in on poor Glitch, it's hard. You'll see it at the end of the clip here. If a mine hits an opponent directly, it just kind of fizzles out. And of course certain specific moves can just street sweep, right? So Crystallize, for example, is a notorious one. She can just street sweep everything, and then there's my setup. And of course the dev team has balanced it, you know, rightfully so. Hey, look, can't have it all. They're on a cooldown, so I can't just spam these. One of the few moves that I know they're on is a cooldown, so you have to manage resources. One thing that was very cool is that you guys have blessed me with a secondary ability, right? The homing missile, right? This is low-key busted, I'm not gonna lie, right? Because the homing missile is a slow-moving attack, right, that tracks your opponent aggressively. It's not perfect tracking, right? So you can dash away from it. If I shoot it at you on the side, you can dash forward, it'll miss me. But what I like to do with it, right, is to hit you directly or hit the ground, create that big smoke screen, and then do shenanigans, right? I'm throwing a mine in there to trip you up. I'm grabbing you through the smoke screen. As you can see on the screen right now, I'm able to arc it left, right, overhead, and look here. If I hit you directly with it, you can't see. What happened? Boom! The grab! And now you're in a hard knockdown situation, and we love those hard knockdowns, right? And I'm able to drop mine. So Glitch, a wonderful all-around character, right? If you like that kind of trapping gameplay style range, this is your guy, right? So did I do a good job with Glitch?
Fantastic.
Yeah, you did a great job, man. And if you want the Glitch tech, hit up Super M because he has some secret stuff. If you watch like the video of him versus Justin Wong, there's like moments where it's like, oh, how did you do this? How did you do that? What's this secret tech you've got? So he is basically the keeper of the Glitch keys.
I am Glitch himself.
The pioneer.
I am Glitch. You saw me do my little robot dance in the trailer. I was getting it.
Yeah, right.
Okay, let's get up to the next character. So we have an all-rounder, we have a zoner, and now we've got the rushdown character, hit and run. Probably, arguably, one of the most powerful characters for people to play right out the gate. It's Nico, right? So we're looking at the stats right now. They're deceptive. I'll let you guys know this right now, right? He has low power, low defenses, and like no range. And you're thinking, man, like what's this person gonna do? It's all about that mobility. Squire, you gotta tell us about Nico. He's the bane of my existence, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, you know, if you're playing like Oblivion Remastered right now, right? If you max your speed to 100, and then you're suddenly like, bzzz, you're all over the place. Like his mobility and his speed, as soon as you get on the character, you instantly know. You're like, okay, he's like zipping around, and the unique thing he has is his dash goes through projectiles. So you combine those two things, he's a zoner's worst nightmare. You literally, yeah, he literally, like, if you're Glitch, if you're Gaia, if you're anyone with a projectile that you think is reliable, this guy's just going to go, nah. And he's going to just dash straight through it, and then he's going to get in your face, and then he's going to dash out again. So he's sort of like any hit and run character, you know, Jory from Street Fighter, you know, traditionally she was very much played like that, or Strider, or Chip, anyone like that who's running all over the place, dashing through your fireballs. They're usually ninjas who have some annoying kind of like, you know, shadow dash mechanic, but he's like that. He'll get in your face, he'll do a load of damage, he'll do a special move, and then he'll run off again. So he's very good for people who have like a, you know, they drink a lot of Red Bull, or they're chugging a lot of Prime, or they've got high sugar content. If you play, I don't know, if you play like,
it's very historical.
Yeah, exactly. If you're playing like anyone, who's that Overwatch character? My mind has gone completely dumb. Goggles, British accent, dashing all over the place.
Man, Rivals has taken over so much. I didn't forget
Yeah, exactly.
all the Overwatch characters.
What was her name?
We're gonna get caught up on that, man.
The chat needs to ask, but I can't remember what her name is, which is really, really bad. But it's basically that kind of experience where you're like, you're dashing everywhere, you're backdashing, you're going through fireballs. He's a very exciting character to play, but as an older guy, probably a bit too much hard work, a bit intense.
Yeah, it does feel intense. So let's look at the special moves that complement such an aggressive, elusive playstyle. So first move up, Proton Punch, the bane of all early access existence. I mean, this move when it came out was probably the single most broken move in the game. It combined with Nico's speed, the ability to just run in, you commanded. There was literally nothing I felt like I could do. Now I know that he can dash through my projectiles. Now I know why. But yeah, so high octane character. First move, high octane punch. Tell us about this move and what's the strengths and applications of it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We did a tournament in the alpha playtest. The grand finals was two Nikos spamming this move at each other because the active frames, the radius, the start speed, all too fast. So it is something that has been dialed back in early access. Because basically everyone was like, yeah, this is busted. Yeah. This is just like, what the hell? So it is an aerial denial zone kind of move. It's something that rewards you for, you know, Tempest throws an Arctic Blast, you dash through it, you do Proton Punch. So it's kind of that move. And we've adjusted the cooldown, we've adjusted all these things that, you know, it's kind of like, it's your reward for reading your opponent. It's your reward for mitigating a projectile. It's your reward for navigating whatever minefield someone's put out, and then you do a big blast and then you go away. So it's that kind of feel for the move that we wanted to achieve.
Now, Aben, I'm mad at you because this is your creation. You did this. You did this to all of us. Okay, you brought this demon in our lives, and now we have to deal with him. So yeah, I've noticed that this is one of the gestures that you were talking about, Aben, that goes up and down, big swing, right? So with all these like big movements, I know some people might worry a little bit about like how easy it is to mess them up or like get them wrong. Are they pretty responsive?
They're pretty responsive so far, but we are always doing tweaking all of that.
Okay, all right, that's good to know, because sometimes, you know, you get into the frantic fray of it all, so it looks like every move has kind of like a beginning and end, so looking like you got to raise it to activate it, drop your hands down to raise it to start, drop your hands down to finish, correct?
Yes.
Nice. Okay, so let's go on to the complementary move. You know, we got an A side and a B side to everyone. Nico has the Shockwave, right? This move that pushes someone back, and it looks like, at first glance, it looks like something Nico doesn't want to do, but I'm pretty sure you guys got a good reason for having this in here.
It's basically intended to be a compliment to him as an annoyance. So it's a move that like pushes people away. So, you know, he's got one thing to counter projectile characters. He has something to counter people who want to get in close. So it's basically like a way to go, get off me, and then use that advantage that you've gained by pushing someone backwards, sticking them in this kind of state where they're sliding back, and then you can go in and maybe use your superior movement to dash Photon Punch. So it's basically the other side of the coin for his gameplay. It's a way to say, get off me, for people that, you know, for every character that he wants to rush in on, there's going to be some characters he wants to get away from at the same time. Because he's a squishy character, he's defined by movement. So this is like the other side of that. And this is a way for him to, you see it there, right?
Yeah.
You can push people basically full screen.
Oh, so, okay, so he's got a little something for everybody.
That, I think personally, that power is fantastic. I remember playing with someone that he was about to do a reversal, and I did the Shockwave. It took the character away from me, and I had like an opening to, you know, come back.
Oh, that's devious. You reversed the reversal. Oh, I'd be mad. If that happened to me in top 8, as a commentator, I'd be hyped, but as a player, I'd be so mad at break. Well, I can't break. Well, yeah, no, I can spike my VR controllers. Yeah, I'd spike my VR controllers. My goodness, that's big brain. So it's cool that Nico's not just your brain dead rushdown. He has a lot to offer, both offensively and defensively. So even though, as a glitch main, I completely disagree with his existence, I'm pretty sure you guys out there will find your love for the speed demon hit and run character, Nico. All right, so we're going back and forth here. We had range, we had melee, we got the rushdown. Now we're gonna go to the opposite of a rushdown. The turtle defensive character, introducing Gaia. So guys, tell me about Gaia. We see these stats, you know, big dammy instead of mobility, right? Tell me, what does Gaia have to offer to the table?
She has damage and control. She is she's basically Lady D from Resident Evil 8, right? She's a big girl. She does a lot of damage. And she's gone through probably the most changes, I think, from the closed alpha. Like, she has, you know, there's something inherent about, I don't know, if you play Marisa in Street Fighter 6, there's something like inherently difficult to balance about someone who does a boatload of damage, but also has really strong lockdown in terms of like plus frames and what she wants to do. And I think she's one of those characters. So she's inherently someone who wants to lock you down with a root, and then she wants to go in and do something else. So she has a core mechanic, which is this tracking root move. But then she has this big move where you raise your arms in the air, you slam them down. It has different charge levels based on how long you hold it. It either does like a little bit of damage, does long range and knockdown. So she basically wants to land a root and then use that for opportunities to attack you. And because she's like she's more like, I guess, like a Guile character, where she's an advancing turtle. And I know that's a change right now. But, you know, between like Street Fighter 5 and 6, he's now like an advancing more rather than someone who's just down back in the whole time. Like, Gaia's sort of like that philosophy where she's moving towards you, but only when she chooses to. And when she lands that kind of opportunity to do damage, she does a lot of damage because she has a very, very strong punch. She has a very high damage grab. She has a very high damage, like, other special move, which is the tectonic shift.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So she's going to sit back in the cut. Now, she has the higher block to compensate at this. She's going to be blocking your attacks, trying to lock you down with these vines. Let's take a look at some of these special moves that you were talking about. So first off, Nature's Retribution, and so this is that long root kind of vine action that you were talking about here. And already, I'm so glad this can be blocked, because this looks like Lockdown City. Can you guys tell me a bit more about Nature's Retribution and some of its applications?
Yeah, sure. So I think for me, it's one of the quintessential moves that if you're a Fang player in Street Fighter 5, right? He has his V Trigger 1, which is a 0 damaging projectile. Just moves very, very slowly. But what it does is check your movement, and it allows certain other moves to, scare you. For me, Nature's Retribution is that. It doesn't do damage, really. It does a little bit of chip, it does a little bit of damage. But the thing is like to say, hey, you can't move unless you find the right opening, or you're Nico, and you can just dash through it.
Of course.
So it's like, it's a move check move. It's her keep away. It's not a threat on its own, but the threat of the move is what it allows her to do once you're rooted.
Okay, so a little bit of space control, tempo control, unless you're Nico, of course. Dang you, Nico! And so this is really cool. So this is set up, right? And so if she's setting up, playing defensively, there has to be a big payoff, and that big payoff is the Tectonic Shift, another big rise. Now, this move looks like it's similar to Nico's, and of course, if you play fighting games, you know there are inputs that are similar to others. Everyone has a fireball, DP, charge motion, the up and down, the down up, the Hadouken. These are our constants here. So what's the big payoff for Tectonic Shift? Looks like a big move.
It technically knocked you down. It's it doesn't really take your opponent away from you, but if any of those rock touch you, take you to the floor. I mean,
Nice
you
hard
fall.
knockdown. Okay, so does it do a lot of damage? Like, it looks like in some instances here, you're able to kind of like keep your hands up. Is it like one of those big? You said Guile. Is this a charge up move, or is this my boom?
Yes.
Yeah, basically, it's something we've played around with during Alpha as well. It's something that once upon a time took a long time to charge up. We're like, okay, you root someone, you want to do that. Oh, it takes too long. So the applications of that move were limited, and it's something that we've helped through like the playtests. Go, this takes too long. This is unwieldy X, Y, and Z. So if you play it now in early access, you'll hardly even notice it. Like you'll know this because you played her in the exhibition, right, Super? Mm-hmm. But you basically hold it up and it's like, am I a level 3? You probably are, and it's a full screen projectile that has knockdown.
Oh, so 3 levels, right? 3 levels to this move. Level 1, you see here on display, like a little short range, get a little bit of damage. So you throw your root, you quickly hit him with a little love tap, some rocks, and we're good. We get some damage, we keep constant damage. Then we have level 2 and level 3, the big levels. I remember early alpha tests, you used to hear like a big quake, like doom, doom, doom. I'm like, yeah, come on, and it's like, try me, to the whites of their eyes, I'll hold the trigger. So that really felt like I was a threat standing still. And that's the cool thing about Tectonic Shift, is like, you see the hands up, you're just like, you just watch the other person dodge for dear life, and you try to catch them when they're moving, which was really fun. So I'm looking forward to Gaia. If you like that kind of Guile, turtle, make them make mistakes and come to you kind of gameplay, that's gonna be your girl. Now the next person, right, now we're getting really interesting, right? The big guy, Big Diesel. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is probably one of the more fun characters to play. And honestly, an archetype that I've been waiting for in this game for a long time. The grappler, right? Look at those stats. Look at the power. Look at the defense. Who needs mobility and range when you're this buff, right, guys?
Yeah, man. I'm a grappler fan. Like, what can I say? Like, yeah. I played Hugo. I'm a Hugo in First Strike main. Like, I loved him in like the other games as well. I love a grappler. So for me, he's not just a grappler though. He's sort of like a technical grappler.
Okay.
He's like Zangief crossed with Scorpion. Like, it's very, very weird, right? But he has a lot of mind games, but he has a boatload of damage. And you'll see this in the exhibition match. Once you land sort of like a few punches into his other move, which we'll show in a moment, just a boatload of damage. And he's someone that, like traditional grapplers, very, very weak to projectiles, right? Someone lays out that minefield and Zangief is like, okay, this is like a 10-0 match or a 9-1 at best, and you're just hoping someone messes up. For Diesel, because he's got power chord, because he's got this idea that he's a rock star, he's strumming guitar, it's like Guitar Hero and all this kind of stuff. He can control this projectile that tracks you, that grabs you in, and then pulls someone to point blank range where he can mess them up. And which is a bit of a spoiler, but he's like a grappler plus something else. And I think we've realized that idea, and he's just cool. He's just cool.
Look at the man's drip. Look at the pants. Like look at the swag. Look at the axe. Come on now, it's a literal axe. Like you can't be mad at that. And of course, with this being VR, with this being a bit more of a ranged game, your classical zoner would just get outpaced and it would be frustrating. So it sounds like you guys gave him some tools, but let's jump into some of these moves here. And what would a grappler be without a signature grab? So being the hardcore rocker that he is, using that guitar, sending out a power chord, one of my favorite moves in this game. I'm gonna gush about it for a little bit. You cannot destroy the metal, you cannot escape the metal, because the metal will live on. Shout out to Jables. This move is so cool. This is that Scorpion aspect you were talking about, Squire, right?
That's right. It's something that takes a bit of getting used to. I think anyone who plays a grappler realizes that, despite the down players, grapplers are quite technical. Ever tried to do a standing 720 as Zangief? Not easy. Yep. Right, and I think Diesel's a similar idea, right? You can do this very, very long range, slow tracking projectile, but as soon as you kind of cancel it out of the strum, he'll pull it back. And then you can do like a grab, you can do a dash, you can do a punch. But conversely, if you want to like freak someone out, you can strum really fast. And then suddenly it'll go super speed, and then you can like catch someone dashing, you can catch someone trying to channel a projectile or something to counter you. So there's a lot of mind games, and there's a lot of skill expression and agency around how you express yourself as Diesel, but it's all kind of wrapped up in this like layer of like, I'm just a rock star and I'm just like, I'm mashing out, right?
Just out here jamming, singing my tunes, you know what I'm saying? Don't mind me, I'm just a bard, right? What's really cool about this is this is a VR game, right? And so I think, Aben, you've done a really good job of kind of creating something that's interactive, right? The special moves really feel like you're there, and the technical prowess of this, right? You throw out the rock on, right? It's coming at you Jamiroquai style, just closing in. And you see it in the clip here. I'm trying to dodge so much, y'all, and it's just constantly chasing. I'm again so glad you guys made it blockable, because if this was unblockable, the oppression session would be too real, But I agree with you. This is a really cool grab, right? And you mentioned a few advanced things, being able to cancel it, chase somebody, cancel it into another move, stop playing altogether, and move, because you notice that he can't move when he's strumming, so he's kind of locked into place. So keep that in mind, folks, right? So when you have a move like this, right, what's the good partner move for it? What's the big payoff? You're setting them up for someone, right? So one of my favorite named moves in the game, Kiss My Axe. I will yell that every time I land this. Beautiful combo move here, guys. So can you tell me about how this complements Diesel's gameplay and style?
Yeah, I think the main thing with this move is it's an opportunity to use sort of that out of body throw camera that's not a throw. So it's cool. It gives off this fantasy of like a Rekka, which I enjoy. Like, I'm a Fei Long player from Street Fighter 4 and before. I love the idea of Rekka, I love Yun, I love Yang, all those kind of characters. So for me, that's cool. And it's just something that is ultra punishing, but ultra slow. Like, we've seen the grabs before. If you whiff a grab, it's very, very easy to punish. This move is 10 times worse. So if you miss this move, like you see there, like you are stuck there forever.
Yeah.
It does massive damage, but it also has huge recovery, huge whiff animation. So it's that kind of like high risk, high reward. So you basically want to complement it. You land the power chord, or you land a grab, and then you kind of enforce that mix, right? Is it gonna? I'm gonna kiss my axe, which kind of tracks your dashes a little bit.
Oh.
It has a little bit of armor. It can power through certain moves. Or are you gonna back off and you're gonna grab again? So it's that kind of like, it's not a 50-50. It's more like a 33 plus one.
That's crazy.
I use it a lot in combined with the power chord, as you were mentioning. So you have the power chord, get the enemy close to you, and then the axe.
Interesting. So on block, right? So you mentioned when you miss the move, you're very vulnerable, right? Good balance there. So what about on block? Are you still that vulnerable on block? Because it looks oppressive. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, the final hit you'll notice is way longer than the preceding two. Similar to all the Rekka characters in other fighting games. So there is an opportunity there to just tank through the whole thing and then punish on block, because he is trapped in recovery frames for quite a while.
Nice. So so get to thrashing or get getting bashed. You know, I love that. Okay.
Exactly. You can play like a scumbag, right? If you want to be like, I don't know, Itabashi Zangief, and like just you mix it all between playing like a complete Neanderthal and playing super safe. So if you don't want to do Kiss My Axe, you could just do a few punches, right? Or you could do a normal grab. It's that kind of mix up that I feel that defines a grappler, and you can do that as Diesel.
I'll say this, there's something we did not show here, that mobility being a big factor. His punches, while they're big, they're very short range. So I guess his game plan is to try to get you as close as possible. And then once you're in that range, that's that 33 you're talking about. He can go for the Rekka, he can go for a regular grab, he can go for Kiss My Axe, he can grab you again just to mess with you and show you that, you know, you're here to rock for a long time. Party on, baby. So I'm really excited for this character. This is a character I have not gotten a chance to play with too often, but so much fun to watch and so much fun to play as.
Yeah, he goes back to like Itabashi Zangief. Like, I keep referencing him, one of my heroes. But one of the most powerful things you can do as a grappler is just walk someone down. Just don't do anything. Just walk someone down, and it absolutely works with these.
If Itazan is out there and he has a VR headset, play this character, show us all that you know what the devious mind of a grappler is about, because grapplers are special, right? In every fighting game, they always play very special. And so, all right, so let's get on to the last fighter, right? Technically, I guess the boss character of the game, right, guys?
Yeah.
Valdon, you know, and of course, in true boss character fashion, similar to Akuma, gotta be a glass cannon, right? Gotta be all the way with the power. I think it's the only character right now with maxed out power stats. No defense, right? Little mobility and little range, but I mean, who needs any kind of defense when you have offense? It's the best defense, right, guys?
He's not only got offense, it's adaptive offense, which I think we'll come into later. It's like Akuma, right? He's a glass cannon, but he's got a boatload of tools. Like, he has got, you know, Ryu has got Fireball, Shuriken, Tatsu. Yeah. That's what he's got. Akuma's got Demon Flip, he's got different strength fireballs, he's got air fireball, he's got like teleport, he's got a million different options. Like, Valdon is kind of like that. He's like, if you want a character that's all in, he can't be more all in if you tried.
Okay, all right, so let's get onto these tasty special moves, right? So I think these are, if you're gonna ask me, he's absolutely busted, and I love it. I love the fact that he's this busted. First move, right? Ancestral Flames, coming back to busted, right? I think that in this game, right, these kind of like overhead moves, they seem pretty strong, right? They seem like those are our go-to ones, but this one reminds me of Nico, but better somehow. Right? So run me through Ancestral Flames. Flames.
Quick break in between. I have to go, but man, thank you so much for having us.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
you are in good hands. I need to take my daughter to the swimming school, but thank you so much.
Oh,
Have a great
absolutely, bro.
weekend.
Absolutely, bro. Aben, I appreciate you joining us and offering the insight. Everybody in the chat, say goodbye to Aben. We're going to be locking this out for the rest of the evening, Squire. We only have this one more screen left, so I think we got this character, right? We played with this character quite a bit. Later, Aben.
Bye, guys.
All right, Squire, Ancestral Flame jumping in here. So, like I said, it reminds me of Nico a little bit, right? So, tell me a bit more about Ancestral Flames.
I think for me, it's a little bit like Akuma's. I'm going to keep comparing him to Akuma,
Of course,
because
of course.
I think that is the role model. And he is like Akuma, where he has options to easily score a knockdown and then put you in a vortex. And I think that is the design philosophy. Aben's gone, but I'm sure he would say this. That is the design philosophy for Valdan. Like, he can knock you down, he can punish things very easily because that move has a very long range, it scores a hard knockdown, and then, as we'll go into with his other moves, he has various ways of applying zoning, applying rushdown, applying various things. So for me, it's like, it's the start of the vortex for him. So if you're a Valdan player, you want to punish a grab, a whiffed grab, a whiffed Kiss My Axe, a whiffed Arctic Blast, a whiffed anything with Ancestral Flame, and then you'll go into like enforcing your mix. And it's you know, it's similar to Diesel in a way, where you're now not in a 50-50, you're in like a, I don't know, 25, 25, 25, 25. It's like that with him.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's talk about the mix, right? So this move, and of course, it does some chunky damage. Going on to the next move here, we've got Shadow Slash, right? So it's hard to think of a mix with a projectile, right? But you guys have done a really good job of mixing this up. So Shadow Slash, right? 3-hit projectile. This almost to me feels like the most truest Rekka, but in a fireball. And I don't think I've ever played a Rekka fireball before, right? So we get 3 slashes, right? You grab your sword, and it's cool because with Ancestral Flame, you're picking up the sword and stabbing it into the ground. And this one, you're reaching up and grabbing the sword by the hilt, and then literally slashing Ichigo Getsuga Tenshos straight across the screen, which is very cool, by the way. I mean, another power fantasy of mine. I yell Getsuga Tensho when I do this move, and it's so cool to see that you can throw horizontal, vertical, at an angle, but you get to choose when you throw these, right? Which is where the mix comes from, if I'm to read this, right? So
yeah, exactly. I think for us, it's one of those ideas that I think it's something that's come to light as the game's matured, right? We want to do things that feel VR and feel like you're deciding what happens. And I think, you know, Diesel with the power chord, where you're strumming it, you're doing that rock and roll Guitar Hero fantasy. Valdan's similar in the fact that you can direct the sort of width and horizontal range of Shadow Slash, and you can also decide how quickly you fire it. So he's got 3 stocks before his sword breaks, which you'll see on screen now, and you can choose what you want to do. You want to do horizontal, you want to do vertical, or you want to do one and then see what your opponent does, wait, and then fire the other 2. So there's loads of options there, and it can end up being something quite impressive. Obviously, it's not as powerful as, you know, say Tempest Arctic Blast, which gives you an odd knockdown, but it has more versatility in the fact that you have 3 stocks and you decide how to use them.
yeah, speaking of Tempest, I'll give you guys a really hot tip on this one. So Tempest Arctic Blast clashes with Shadow Slash. So if Tempest throws an Arctic Blast, I can block the first one with Shadow Slash number 1, hit her with Shadow Slash number 2 and 3, and she won't be able to, I don't know, maybe somebody else will be able to throw a quick Hadouken beforehand, but negate the first projectile and then come back and punish with the second one, or negate the first projectile, hit you with a tap, and then save the other stock to negate the next projectile if I think you're going to continue with the projectile war, right? Which offers that mix. And then I'll tell you this, if I get you in a hard knockdown situation, right, hit you with that ancestral flame for the ancestral frames, now I got the hard knockdown, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to fake the shadow slash, because you're going to see me there holding the sword, and then I'm just going to grab, or shadow slash one time, punch, or shadow slash, integrate. You never really know what's gonna come once he gets you down in that hard knockdown situation, right? So very strong position to be in. He does have to be closer in range to do that, but once he gets in close, he's putting himself in danger, so it's fair, right? He doesn't take a lot of damage, and then you're able to mix someone up. So that's gonna be it for all of the characters here, and I just want to show everyone this glorious full screen, right? All of our starting roster here for Final Fury, and I will add to this, I must say that for a fighting game, right, this is a pretty solid starting roster for early access. 6 very unique, very different characters in the meta, right, providing a little something for everybody, whether you want to go with the all-rounder, right, whether you want to go for a little trapper, zoner, keeper, right, super rush down, your grappler, your defensive guile character, and of course, right, your Akuma power fantasy glass cannon. So a little something for everyone. I want to remind everyone, please join the Discord, download the game now. It is in early access, right? We've got So here we are back at it once again. You know, we are going to drop in now. We've got a special download for you guys. Special codes being given away. Shout outs to Miss Lovely Curd, aka Jordan Freeman, Discord mod today, jumping in here and dropping this wonderful Gleam giveaway, 99% off. If it's free, it's me. You already know what it is. We're gonna have a very special exhibition match for you guys coming up here in a bit, just a few minutes, so we can kind of get things set up. But it's gonna be myself versus Squire, a little RSVR style commentary coming at you just momentarily.
Come to where my bombs are at. Come on, Jake. Waiting.
Trigger punch.
What did you hit me with?
Yeah, got the guess on that one.
I'm still alive. No! No, I almost got you. What?
Shockwave.
Team 2 complete that game.
Final Fury.
Come to where my bombs are at. Come on, Jake. Waiting.
Trigger punch.
What did you hit me with?
Yeah, got the guess on that one.
I'm still alive. No! No, I almost got you. What?
Shockwave.
Team 2 complete that game.
Final Fury.
And we are back. All right, now it is time. The commentator is in. Had a little bit of a break there. We're gonna get on to an exciting exhibition match between myself and Squire. So this is gonna be a good look for everybody out here, just to see what the game is like. And so without further ado, let's just go ahead and get on to the battle. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are underway. You already know, solo Super commentary. We've got Super M rocking Gaia versus Squire rocking your boy Big Diesel. So we got the defensive character, the defensive wall versus the grappling character, and you already know what it is. It is time for another cinematic battle here in the VR arena. So starting off, like we said earlier, Super doing the do, trying to use that command grab for Gaia, trying to root the big man down, and I'm really trying to keep Diesel out of my hair, right? Diesel doing his thing, weaving in those classic grabs, and there we go, the big body elbow drop. Shout out to the Macho Man Randy Savage, and already the grappler, including the big body damage. All right, already just kind of closing things down, and there we go, another command grab. This time though, Super gets away, applying the pressure, and we have that great reversal. You already saw Super trying to sneak in a grab of his own, but not gonna out grab the big grappler, and another big body elbow drop puts Super in a bad way. the defensive character of Gaia has to be shining right now. She's got to play it safe. She's got to play it cool. Cool under pressure, and another grab, and another big grab. This is going to be huge for Squire here. Supa's got to do something, working the tectonic shifts, trying to keep the big man out, and there we go. A great sidestep by Squire, showing that skill from the development team. Look, when you've been making the game, it's going to be easy to make these reads, but Supa, not being one to be outshone with a big damage, the tectonic plates putting in the work. Round number 1 goes to Supa. And if you're Squire right now, you're gotta have to think, I gotta readjust my strategy. Squire now taking it easy, playing the backfield, looking for those power cores, and there we go, lands a big grab, but Supa with the counter. Gaia is such a great control character, able to mitigate what Squire can do with Diesel, and now employing the grappling game of his own. This has now been the tables have turns and the turns has tables situation, but another grab, and this is becoming an all-out WWE SmackDown. I thought this was a defensive character versus a grappler, but it looks like 2 grapplers. Huge reversal coming in from Squire, and there we go, using that defensive advantage right there. Supa trying to knock it out and scores another grab on Squire. This has got to be very frustrating for the grappler to be grappled. This is his game. He's the one who's supposed to be putting the hands and putting the paws on people, but Supa using Gaia's defensive measures, keeping Squire out of his comfort zone, countering those power chords, getting caught with a few, and ooh, nice power chord by Squire, taking the second round, the big man with the beatdown. Chat, let me know how you're feeling about this fight. Who do you think is going to win? They're neck and neck right now, right? This is going to be entertaining. Let's see, what's the adjustment here going to be in round number 3? Supa back at it once again with the shenanigans, playing it very dangerous, getting so close to the big man, and there we go, and advancing guards into Kiss My Axe, mixes him up on the backdash, gets a grab, and now Supa is in trouble, and there you go. Sometimes when you get into trouble, you gotta be like a rat that is trapped, and you just gotta attack, and that's exactly what Supa is doing right now. Here we go, Squire playing the backfield, lands another grab, but Supa has got the read. When he gets grabbed, he's sitting here throwing the grab himself, and Squire now in a tables turn situation, being the more defensive character, making really good use of those reversals, keeping Supa off his game, not allowing him to capitalize too much, and there we go, a sneaky, cheeky little grab coming in from the guy, Gaia. And this is what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. You just never know with this VR game right now, the mix-ups, the back and forth, and there we go. A quick 2-hitter quitter puts Supa down with the first round, drawing blood. Man, you know, this is a 3-round format, first to 2, so the loser gets the chance to pick and counterpick a character. And so with Squire getting kind of like out-grabbed there a little bit by the grappler, I wonder what he's gonna be. Now, we've heard from earlier on the stream, Squire is a Tempest main, so I wonder if we're gonna see the Frost Queen in action. Of course, Supa picking Gaia again, has to get locked into the character. Change up a little bit of a color. Ooh, and there we go. Tempest with the Arctic colorway. Y'all gotta recognize this game also has different colorways for the characters and 3 unlockables for each of them. So this has got a little bit of drip to it, and things are about to get cold and frosty. I wonder what is going to be the analysis here in the mix-up, right? Of course, Tempest is an all-rounder, jack of all trades, and Squire has the advantage of seeing how Supa has been able to play Gaia, right? Kind of breaking out a little bit of that defensive mold. So I wonder what Tempest is going to be able to bring to this. So she does have the Arctic Blast, and she does have Crystallize. So Crystallize will be able to keep her safe defensively, and she'll be able to fire back against Gaia. Okay, this is going to be very interesting. So we've got the Turtle, Gaia, both of them playing the range game. I wonder if Supa is going to play the kind of zoner, all right? Keeping it safe, Oh, Tempest working her way in with some normals. There we go. We're able to see that those normals are able to get in on range, and now Supa is in a bad situation, locked into the corner. He has nowhere else to run, and now the oppression session can begin. Ooh, Supa with a great sidestep and good counter coming out from that grab, and now he has now reversed the tables on Tempest. Squire now in a tough position. Supa setting up the lockdown. Little tectonic shift. Nice dodge and a counter with that fireball. The hard knockdowns, keeping Gaia out of the pocket. Not able to capitalize on that Nature's Fury. And a big miss on the grab and a counter grab. See, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we were talking about earlier. Big counter grab puts Gaia down. Man, that's actually pretty legit now. Oh, so Tempest is able to play these mind games. Squire playing the mid-range, playing strong, coming in off of a hard knockdown into the crystallize, into a grab, and back in the corner goes Supa M. Supa M doing his usual trying to grab his way out of tough situations. He might get punished for that later on. Now trying to go for the blows, throwing some hands now. Going for those normals and into another grab. We are now seeing the birth of Grappler Gaia with the big bricks and the big hands. But getting body slammed right back. Look, now this has become another WWE match. And Squire seems to have it out for Supa M. Bodies this man 2-0. Easy peasy, easy clap. That was the right decision by Squire. And already, you know, this is why he is a Tempest main. He knew exactly what he needed to do. Jack of all trades, master of none is oftentimes better than a master of one. Having that toolkit ready and available to handle any situation. You saw the adaptation, folks. But all right, Supa now. Yeah, you know what? You got to do it. If Ryu is going to be the one to answer the call, you got to go with Akuma, right? So we're going to see now how this matchup is going to be. We got Valdon coming in. Glass Cannon also has some ranged abilities of his own. So both got even playing fields, right? We've got 2 ranged abilities on the board and 2 melee abilities. Supa has the disadvantage of having the less health, so he's going to have to stay pretty offensive if he wants to keep the advantage here. But Squire, having that Crystallize on deck, having that Arctic Blast on deck, can zone him out, right? So we're going to see what the matchup is going to be. This is going to be for all the marbles here. We are 1-1. Winner takes all in this final bout. Chat, make some noise. Who do you think is going to win? 1 for Supa M or 2 for Squire? We are underway, round number 1, and already we're trying to drop some Ancestral Flames down. Misses the Ancestral Flame and gets punished. Reset on the grab. Now, you'll notice Supa trying to stay distance. He's a little scared, right? He's throwing out those projectiles, and we see that Rekka at play. It looks like he's trying to figure it out. Playing at the range, he's trying to feel comfortable, not trying to put himself down. And ooh, there we go. A nice block, and I see what Supa is doing right now. He's using his fireballs to neutralize Tempest's Arctic Blast. There we go. Baiting out the grab. Doesn't go for the grab. Decides to land some of those powerful punches, and he's here to whittle down Tempest little by little. And the big Izuna drop. Gotta hurt that one. Gotta hurt that one. You know what I'm saying? Squire now playing it out. Good hard knockdown on the Arctic Blast. Tries to come in with the grab, and there we go. Ancestral Flame with the denial. Not in my house. Little Dikembe Mutombo action going on there. And now we're on the offensive, capitalizing on that offense. Squire now working that classic Hadouken. Another hard knockdown into a grab, and that was the 50-50 mix-up we were talking about earlier. Once Valdon has you on the ground, it's tough. You got to respect it. Now here we go, trying to work that offense, getting a few hits back in. The elixir coming in from Squire. And there we go, caught the backdash with another grab. And just like that, Valdon is up and keeping the space. The skies are clear. He is clearing that out with that sword. The sword so powerful as an option. 3 projectiles, oftentimes better than 1. And as you can see, Valdon playing a complete closeout, shutout game, wanting to neutralize the options that Tempest has while stalking her down, and lands a long-range projectile. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Your winner for this exhibition night, Supa M. Look, That was amazing, Squire. Look, I gotta bring you back in, bro. I gotta hear your talk. We do this a lot on the channel. We have a post-fight breakdown. Aben, of course, not here. Shadow Aben in the middle. But Squire, bro, how did you feel about that fight? Yeah, you know, it was tough. It was tough, right? I will say that your Tempest is... Justin had one thing over you with the Tempest, and that he somehow figured out a way to chain hard knockdowns, and I couldn't get out of it. Like, at the end, he hit me with 3 of them. I'm like, that's the ultimate tech. I wonder if that's going to get patched out. But the mind games, though, like, I will say that the adjustment that you made in round number 2 was choice, because I was locked down that whole time. Like, I thought you were a better grappler with her than you were with Diesel. I'm not even gonna lie. So let me jump in here. The chat saying that your audio isn't coming in here, Squire. Give me some audio real quick, my boy.
I was robbed.
Okay, there we go. There we go. Now there we go. Ambience. There we go. You got him now. He says official
Shield
words.
double mute.
Robbed.
Double mute.
Robbed.
Like,
Yeah. Look, yeah, robbery, highway robbery, right? He said it earlier. It wasn't me. It was the game mechanics, right? But I was saying earlier, man, like, look, when I fought Justin, of course, tough customer. I think we played. You were there like 45 minutes straight. He did end up beating me more than I beat him. So to be fair to Justin, you know, I have played him before in other games, and it usually it was much closer this time. But the adjustments that you made in round number 2, right? I thought I had you. I thought I was gonna go Gaia all the way. In my mind, I was like, oh, it's Tempest. Every time she hits me with a hard knockdown, I'm just gonna freeze her. She's never gonna get anything off. I'm gonna hit her with Tectonics. I did not expect the rush down Tempest to get me in a corner and put me in such a hard situation. So, like, I gotta tell you guys, like, when you're fighting someone else that knows what they're doing in this game, it is a constant decision-making battle. I know in the match it kind of makes it look easy. At any point in time with any of those grabs, and we've seen it a couple of times, Squire dodged quite a few of my grabs with a sweet comeback, right? And then being able to capitalize on some of those hard knockdowns. It was a furious back and forth, to be honest. It could have went either way.
Yeah, like someone in Discord was saying, oh, my FGC hero lost, because we put the first like Fight Night Volume 1 with you and Justin, right? And you won. And it's like, oh, how could Justin have lost? And it's like, okay, you've seen a very small part of the story.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of gameplay to come. And I think, you know, it's like what you were talking about, right? That adaptation, I think there's room to say, oh, you know, my opponent plays Gaia or plays Valdan or plays Diesel, but they play them in this kind of way.
Yeah.
So what can I do to counteract that?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the cool things about this game. That even in early access, we still have the room to do that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think that's really cool. And you know, the meta's going to shift. We're going to rebalance. Like you said earlier, we're always listening to what people say within reason. And yeah, it's going to be a cool journey. But essentially, you know, what we said in the marketing copy and all that kind of stuff is we want to make the best VR fighting game. We really do. We don't want to make a brawler. We don't want to make a boxing game. We want to make a fighting game. And the only way we do that is with feedback and with people playing the crap out of it and telling us what works, what doesn't, what feels fair, what's broken, what's disgusting, what's, you know, all these kind of stuff. So get the game, tell us on the Discord, tell us via the survey, and yeah, we'll do some stuff.
Absolutely. Well, you heard it here first. I'm gonna let you guys know for maybe the last time tonight, but to get the game, it is out right now for a little bit of while. You know, we've got until, like you said, midnight tonight before the Gleam giveaway goes away, right? So hit that Gleam code if you haven't already. That's 15 codes that we're giving out, 99% off. If it's free as me, you better keep that motto. Get in on the action, join the Discord. The Discord invite has been in the chat. Shout out to our lovely moderator, Jordan, aka Miss Lovely Curved, right? And get in there, talk to. I'm in the Discord all the time, asking anybody who wants the hands, right? I'm always down to lab it up, share tech, figure some things out. Squire's there, he lives there 24/7. He's got a room in the Discord he sleeps in, you know, like it's great, right? So I'm gonna end things off here. Get the game, it's fun. It's a true fighting, it's the only true fighting game in VR that I'm aware of. We have brawlers, we have tons of boxing games, but an actual factual fighting game, like true to the code fighting game, it really doesn't exist in the way that this one does. So this is gonna be me signing off. Squire, anything to say to the chat before you leave?
Yeah, the one thing I think I'd add is we have Saturday Night Fights, inspired by Sir Elton John, happening for US players on Saturday, and Sunday Night Showdown, inspired a bit about, you know, wrestling, SmackDown, all that kind of stuff, happening on Sunday for EU players. If you want to find multiplayer sessions, you want to get in, you want to get the grind on, you want to apply new tech, you want to, you know, capture some clips for TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, whatever your channel of preference is, that's the time to do it. I'm personally going to be on Sunday, so if you want to beat me like Super did, that's a great time to do it.
It's gonna be harder than you think. Don't think it's gonna be easy to take this man down. I promise you. Like, the adaptation is real. All right, well, that's gonna be it for us today. This is Super M signing off. We're gonna play this wonderful trailer one more time for everybody, and then kind of leave that link up for you guys. So with that being said, I'm gonna catch you guys in the arena. Super M signing off. Peace.
Come to where my bombs are at. Come on, Jake. Waiting.
Trigger punch.
What did you hit me with?
Yeah, got the guess on that one.
No! No! I almost got you!
Shockwave.
Game 2 complete that game.
Final Fury.
Thank you, screen. And then we are